Okay. Damn it. I'm still having issues. I was literally right about ready to start, and then I got something caught in my throat. And then I spent, like, I don't know how many minutes just sitting here coughing, like, impatiently, waiting to be able to start as I'm just hacking up. And where's my chat? Come on, you were working earlier. There you go. I don't even know if I'm live. Yeah, I appear to be live. For those of you who missed it, we were back on the sexy suit for a bit in honor of all of Zoan's donations and support. Which we'll be doing for a little bit longer. By which I mean probably about 2 more days. So this is going to be a half day. I wanted to let you guys know that right in advance. Looks like I have about 3 hours or so, give or take, to get some stuff done. So we're going to get through as much as of Gorgrond as we can, which is probably not going to be all of it, because this is Gorgrond. It's actually a fairly lengthy zone. And then again, in all honesty, most of the Warlord zones are actually quite large in terms of content.
All I need is a wolf at my side, and a fellow warrior at my back.
I'm gonna try and use the throat thing for my voice. A fine choice. Nope, that didn't work. It will need more work before such a structure can be built in your garrison. But this is a start. Oh yeah, you notice that line there, by the way? It'll be more work before this structure could be built in your garrison. In other words, the idea here was originally, these are going to lead directly into garrison upgrades. Now that kind of is true now, because eventually we will be able to get a lumber mill and a arena in our thing, but it's a little less direct, if you know what I mean. It just it's kind of like all of a sudden, oh, and hey, you can build this thing if you buy the pattern for it.
Never leave a wolf behind.
Beasts of the western wastelands fight an endless war with the creatures of the eastern wilds. If one were to overwhelm the other, all of Draenor would be doomed at the hand of the victor. But Laughing Skull seek revenge for their destroyed village. I have directed them to aim their vengeance at the nearby creatures that our outpost might be preserved. If you would, Commander, oversee their efforts. I have not yet grown to trust the Laughing Skull.
Run, tread carefully. If the rumors I hear are true, you will find yourself in grave danger.
Oh, trust me, there's no place on Draenor more dangerous than here. In fact, the mere fact that we have a camp in the Overgrowth kind of terrifies me, now that I actually know what the Overgrowth is. That and the Overgrowth kind of personally terrifies me, because it's really, really, like, it's a severe aspect of body horror. It's like something straight out of Dead Space, just less gory.
Zug Zug.
Your troops are gonna learn to fight. And you better get people to fight, and they better be good. Ever heard of Kostrakor? He's a big famous Frostwolf orc warrior. Tried to kill us skulls. He would have won, too, if the Okers hadn't snatched him. To the north is the Stone Mall Arena, where they took him and a bunch of other big, bad, mean fighter gladiators. If you can find a way to free them, they could be the best trainers you'd hope for.
Victory!
The destruction of our village will not be easy to come back from. Our best hunter, Raknoth, finds reagents for our shamans. She's not been seen for some time, and we need those more than ever. Go to her hunting grounds, see if she's still alive. Gulakar and his group are not often seen for weeks, returning only when they can carry no more trophies and supplies. He's been gone for too long this time. He mentioned hunting in the Crimson Fen for the first time. Go see if he's still alive. Loktar all the way, Kay. Loktar, Ogar. Hello, stars. Weird, but okay. Oh, let's chat. There it is. Chat's back. I kind of answered that yesterday, Zoan. So I want you to imagine you live in the most hostile place in the universe. There you go. There's your answer. They're a byproduct of their terrain. They live in Gorgrond. That's why they're so insane. I think we'll actually do the Crimson Fen first. The rest of the stuff chains up nicely, and the Crimson Fen is kind of by itself. So one thing they did that's kind of neat, not great, but kind of neat, is the quests you don't get, you can still do as bonus objectives if you're really interested in the exp, as you can see with these things here. See? This is worthy of note. You see that? That's a Gron. That's a Gron impaled on one of the vines. A Gron. Yeah. Damn it, Groot. I suppose I haven't said hi to anyone yet. Hello, Django. Hello, Zoo1. Hello, Kay. Hello, Stars. No, I kid. Hello, Groot. What is up? They pulled forward an Ashenvale thing in this zone, too. Where they have it, so there's several pseudo-elite. You notice he doesn't actually have a rare icon on the minimap like the others do. That's because he's not actually a rare or a rare Nyata. He is just a plain old elite, but if you kill him, he drops a quest. And then if you get all of them, then you get an achievement for it. And some exp, obviously. We're not going to do that, I just felt like sharing. They did that Ashenvale thing again, and I think it's kind of neat. I usually associate that with Ashenvale, because there's like 5, I want to say, random elites in Ashenvale you can do that with. So, I kind of already talked about this yesterday, but as you can see, this is a influence of the Zanger. Once again, I want to emphasize that the Zanger is not intelligent. And we'll see this later. So the Overgrowth can control you. It can literally mind control you. The Zanger can influence you, but it can't actually mind control you. Now, and I hate to point this out for the 50th time, and I know this sounds really obvious, but the key distinction between the two is the Overgrowth is being run by an intelligent, sentient, sapient thought. You know, they're actually trying to influence you directly, control you directly for the betterment of the Overgrowth, right? You know, the druid thing, basically. The Zanger, there's no intelligence behind it. It's just a creeping fungus that, or various forms of fungi that slowly spread. And because of the fact that you're influenced by their spores, you're influenced by their spores. There's not really a deliberate intent on behalf of the Zanger to control you. It just kind of happens. That's the distinction between the two. It is very much a natural versus intelligent situation. Well, I hope I actually just answered you, Zoan. I can elaborate again if you want me to. Hey, Cosmic. Barrow sent you, huh? Oh, we leave when I'm done here.
What is it?
My hunters are all dead. You'll be my hunting pack now. Find their bodies, take their skulls. I'll choose which to honor and which to cast aside. It's our way. I'll go further. See what other skulls can be found here. Don't take too long. I don't share skulls. The others gone or wandered into the haze. It called to me as well, but I'm too strong. I chose to kill until they crushed my body. I haven't killed enough of them yet. Not enough. Go. Kill them. And tell the hunt leader I don't go alone into the dark. So I take a skull. The dripping skull of a laughing skull. You aren't even sure why you're doing this. It's covered in a reddish fungal growth. Gotta take them skulls. I actually find myself wondering how much of these skulls we are, like, boiling or burning off the flesh on them. I mean, seriously, like, think about the logistics of taking something's skull for a moment. Just think about that. I mean, to some classes, this is probably just a Tuesday. I'm looking at you, Warlocks. Hey, Myron. Don't do it, Kay. Don't do it, Kay. Don't do it, no. It's a trap, Kay. Now, for those of you not aware, the Zanger, this stuff, basically won the war between the Zanger and the Overgrowth in our Draenor. I talked about this already. The only reason I'm bringing it up, obviously, other than the whole we don't know, because we don't know what exactly caused that war to be won. What we do know is that the Zanger also stopped spreading in Outland. Now, that one's a little easier to understand, because it's fairly logical to me that between the various impacts on Outland, which include being in the fricking Twisting Nether, and having the planet cracked in half, it would make sense that the Zanger isn't as flourishing as it used to be. Furthermore, it's actually very likely that with the Cenarian expedition there, they've kind of been curbing the Zanger. After all, the Zanger is natural growth, and the Cenarians rather firmly believe that natural growth still must be checked. It can't run rampant. That would lead to further destabilization and imbalance, right? Also, these are mushrooms that I'm jumping on right here. Just, I mean, fungi, but still.
Speak.
Afraid to get your hands dirty? They're just bodies now. There's no need to be scared. The red slime covers everything, even the skulls of my hunters. I'll make a skull taker out of you, the yet, though. Great work.
What is it?
Yeah. If he was that strong, he'd still be alive. Still, it's good you did him honor. Did you take his skull, by any chance?
As you might imagine, the Laughing Skull have a little bit of a thing for skulls. This pod is similar to the ones growing on the bodies around here, except this one is pulsating weirdly. Grulkor might know more about this.
What's this? Let me check to see if this pod has a skull.
Speak.
Oh, can't breathe. Falsaying gas makes me even angrier. The dead ones were the strong ones, it seems. The weak ones wander about killing invaders to the marsh. It feels wrong to kill them, but they are worthless and get in our way. Kill these shambling fools so we can move further into the marsh. Yes, further.
What is it?
Further in. It smells here. There's whispers. I feel a connection. Mushrooms. Get some of these mushrooms from me. I need them. I need them.
Why are we doing this? Hey, Brookhampton. I'm actually reminded of probably the most horrifying episode of X-Files I've ever seen, personally. It's the episode where they encounter this plant that sends intense hallucinations into you. Excuse me, I shouldn't call it a plant. This fungus that sends intense hallucinations into you while it slowly digests you. It just was really messed up. That's pretty much what we're dealing with here. I am reminded of something from Babylon 5, actually. As well, while we're on the subject. I actually hear that a lot, Zillin. Thank you. My only problem with doing crazy is there's only like 2 or 3 kinds of crazy I can do. There are certain types of crazy I just can't manage. Not too long after The Dark Knight came out, someone asked me to see if I could do a Joker, a Heath Ledger Joker impression. I did it so well that the person in the car with me, who was my friend, I feel like emphasizing, was actually freaked out by it. Yeah. Yep, that's right, Kay. They didn't actually beat it. Yeah, that episode was just blah. Now, it is worth noting, I have a bias against episodes like that, too. Oh, no, I couldn't do it right now, Brookhampton. I know this sounds weird, but it takes a lot out of me to do that kind of crazy. I have to sit, I have to prep, I have to think about it for a minute. I know that some people, and I know that I'm not the only one like this, because several movie stars have said the same in interviews and stuff. Some people just tend to think that you can just start acting at the drop of a hat, and there are actors out there that can do that, and those are very, very talented actors. I am not a very, very talented actor. I have to sit, I have to prep myself, I have to think about what I'm going to do, I have to think about my mannerisms, So if I'm really going to do a role, I have to, that's challenging, that's taxing. I have to throw myself into it. Like, to this day, when I try to recite that poem, I have the poem from Zero. I have very, very serious issues with it. And I have to be like, okay, hang on. You know. You take too long. Something calls to me deeper in there. Whatever it is, I will have its skull! Or die trying.
Speak.
Where are my mushrooms? Where are my mushrooms? Oh, they smell wonderful. These will help me find the power of this marsh and take it for my own.
What is it?
No sticky spores are going to stop me. The larger monsters are the key to my destiny. I can feel it. The pods growing on them are even bigger than the one you brought me earlier. Get me these out. They will be helpful soon. Hey, Mafia. And hey, Leander. And hey, Dogvas. I can feel a powerful presence in the marsh. I feel drawn to it. We must go and take what is there. Go on ahead. I must finish consuming these mushrooms. Holy crap. This is when the link between this and the Zanger becomes a little bit more obvious. Oh god, that's a horrible choice, the one. I'd take the fungus, though. And if you don't know why, I'm just going to remind you of that poor woman in the Overgrowth dungeon. Probably the one and only aspect of that dungeon that I feel was really, really well done was that the voice actress they picked to do those lines was properly horrifying. Holy crap. I'm not sure there's any Warcraft novel I haven't read, Mafia, if that's what you're asking. No! Let me see it up close. This has to be it. Dead. Or used up. I was so sure I would find what I needed here. Wait. I feel it. It is closer now. Quickly. To me.
Speak.
I need more pods. Many more! These will aid me greatly. I must consume them and take their power. We are close to the end, Valvaxis. I can feel it.
What is it?
It's so close. I can almost touch it. I need to go deeper. Much deeper.
Speak.
If only the trees here weren't screaming at me, I could concentrate better. Never mind, they're only trees. The spot is used up now, but I feel a much stronger presence deeper in the marsh. I will go there now and take what is rightfully mine, and then I will share it with everyone. I will show them. I will show them all my power. That's a great idea, Leander. I mean, seriously, let's just go ahead and feed our entire garrison with the Zanger spores. So as you can see, he's turned into a Hulk. You will not join the Red! Then you will die! He actually flings fungal tumors at you. You could have ruled Gorgrond with this raid. Everywhere. It's okay. Ignore the fact that our player character is slowly getting further and further into the red. Just ignore it. It's cool. We're fine, I'm sure. I hope you appreciate this one. I could fly out of here, but no. I'm doing it the fat way. I don't think his skull grew any more than the rest of his bones grew, in the strictest sense of the word. I think it's more like his body is this warped, misshapen mass of fungal-infused muscle and garbage. Just think about what that would look like if you split him open. Fungi. pour out. But of course, this is, you know, they don't really have the graphics needed to show that off. And, on a similar subject, I'm not sure I would want them to. It's that whole System Shock 2 problem all over again. I don't want to see a high definition, you know, graphics update to System Shock 2. That would be really gross. Oh, that's easier to explain. Those aren't actually... The masks they wear are actually made from non-hard materials. This is mentioned earlier. I pointed it out. And so it's easy for them to kind of stretch out and expand over, you know, the newly enlarged thing. It'd probably be, again, if the graphics were up to the task, I imagine it would be ripping a bit and tearing, because the mask slowly warps around the face with time, obviously, because they never take the damn thing off. But because of his sudden wild growth, it probably was like, crap. And that would, again, be a great way to showcase, if, you know, we had, if there's a single-player RPG or whatever, it would be a great way to showcase just how far gone he was, because his mask, the thing that is most important to any Laughing Skull, was torn and ripped, so you could actually see him underneath it.
Golgara was crazy to think he could harness the power of those mushrooms. But then most Laughing Skull are crazy. Still, not a complete waste of time.
And then they just kind of ignore these horrific mushrooms and go back to fighting the overgrowth and or the breakers. Once again, I feel the Horde alliance in between parallel just fits surprisingly well. So as you can see, there's a lot of corpses around here because, you know, battlefield between the two sides. And you can see how the overgrowth is just barely starting to ease in here. Skin and leather and bone, I believe. Like, if you, when you're looting the actual skulls in, like, one of the first quests in here, if you click the quest item and see the flavor text, it mentions that. Also, it's a bit of a shame that this is a reuse of music, because it basically reuses the Hellfire Peninsula music here. But it's a good song, so I'll forgive him it. No, I have not, Brocanton.
I can see the future of my enemies in the bones. They're gonna die. Welcome to the front lines, outsider, where the wastelands and the jungle collide. When their forces forget about the ferocity of the Laughing Skull, this is where we come to make them remember. By fierce and merciless destruction we survive. This is the way of Gorgrond. Join us! See if you can withstand the brutality of our land.
Speak.
When these seed bearers are slain, their seeds survive. From them spring new seed bearers, not over years, but hours. Leaving their remains here would soon cause your camp to be overrun. Burn them, outsider, if you wish your camp to endure.
Yeah, no kidding, Leandro. So this is a good time to mention something that everyone's going to disagree with me on. You guys know that I tend to be really, really big in favor of story and gameplay integration. Even in some cases, rarely, but some cases where I feel it would actually make the gameplay worse for the sake of adding to the story. I've actually already mentioned one example of that, in my opinion, in Warlords. The idea that we should have actually not, you know, had the ability to teleport back to Azeroth. You know, keeping that stuck in Draenor concept. Make a big, obvious warning saying, hey, you're going to be stuck here until you finish the quests. And then, you know, getting stuck at her. And yes, I know people will complain. That doesn't mean anything. People will complain about anything. People will complain about free money. And that's a thing that's happened. Hey, J-Leia. So anywho, getting back to my point. One thing I would really have liked it is if every mob in Gorgrond was an elite. Seriously. This is Gorgrond. This is the most dangerous, violent, volatile place possibly that we've seen thus far. At the very least, it is definitely the most savage. And I feel like they could have emphasized that a bit more in gameplay rather than making it effectively just another zone and then they emphasize it through story and whatnot about how horrible this place is. I think that would have been really cool, personally. Of course, that would be incredibly infeasible. You'd have to really be careful about the balancing of how you set up mobs and whatnot if every single mob was an elite. But that is doable. It would just take time and effort. This is your guys' cue to disagree with me on this. Like for example, we'd have to burn all of it as one. Although fire seems to only work about half the time with the overgrowth, and near as I can tell, it works when you burn it. Basically, if you burn the sapience and the sentience, then it works. But if you try to burn anything else, it doesn't. Well, for example, Jalea, and again, this would take careful design. Rather than killing 8 elites here, which would be a long slog, Kay, you're awesome. Wait, I shouldn't have said that. I'm awesome. There we go. That's much better. Rather than making it kill 8 things, make it kill like 3 or 4. Rather than having this massive cluster of enemies, well, maybe keep the cluster, because these guys are okay. Because these actually don't aggro, normally. I mean, I could just walk right up here and be like, hey guys. So you can leave those in tight clusters. Later on, there's a quest to kill like 30 Iron Horde or whatever. And the Iron Horde would obviously not have to be elite because there's no need for that. But you get my point. With a little bit of redesigning, you can make it so that it wouldn't be as much of a slog and make it more dangerous. In fact, actually, there's another idea I have which I think would make me work much, much better. The elite idea is the easy thing. That would take very little time and work to implement, relatively speaking, because it would just involve redesigning the quests and changing some flags. You really want to do this up. Well, you remember that whole... I can never think of the word. I always forget this word. The thing on the ground that... indicates that something's about to hit there. There's a term for that in WildStar, and I can never, ever think of the term for that thing. Seriously, I can never think of that. Telegraph, thank you. I don't know why I can never remember that word. Anyways, why not, this would take much, much more work and effort, but why not make several of the enemies here, especially in the breaker side of things, have telegraph attacks. Almost universally telegraph attacks. It's not like WoW doesn't know how to program mobs that have no white damage. They've done that. I can name one example right off the top of my head. In the Battle of the Will of the Emperor, at the last boss of the Malgushan Vaults, the Emperor's Strength, I think, the big guys, don't have white damage. They will not hit you. They only do telegraph attacks, which slowly get bigger. So it's not like they don't have the tech to implement such a thing. So have the mobs here have these massive, devastating attacks that if they hit you, absolutely destroy you. You know, like half or more of your health, just bam, gone. But otherwise you can dodge around them and do that. In that kind of a manner, you could once again get that whole brutality, savage, bam, feeling to it, without making it too much more of a slog, without making it too much more boring. It just one idea that came off the top, right off the top of my head there. And I Oda Lolly, yes, hello Oda Lolly, and Sufser and Mikaris and Cozy. Hello to everyone. But I'm not saying hello to Jalea. No, I kid. Hi, Jalea. I don't know what's up with Twitch today. I'm not dropping frames on my end, but that doesn't necessarily mean anything. I like killing things. And bones.
What is it?
Watch them burn. Outsider, I've spotted Iron Horde soldiers nearby. It's bold, even for them, to venture into such deadly territory. If you do not deal with their presence, they will surely be a threat to your camp. Oh, sorry. And hello, Destrox, excuse me. I agree, by the way. That would have been cool. I'm not sure how they would have implemented that, but that's a neat idea, too. Oh, right. I need to go down here. So here's the gladiators. We've got Beatface, the ogre, Akani, the Draenei, and Kashtrakor, the orc. Also, Magister, do I not get a Balinore?
Speak.
Laughing Skull sent you. If there were any other clan, I'd find that ironic. I am Kashtrakor, hero of the Frostwolf, champion of the slave pits. And yet, despite these titles, I need your help. Anytime a gladiator escapes Stonewall, they send their hardened slave hunters after us. If you consider I consider myself a capable warrior. Years of surviving in an arena have taught me that. But these slave hunters keep pendants magically tethered to the slaves. With these pendants, they can track us down anywhere. Kill us in our sleep or when our guard is down. I have no right to ask this, but could you enter Stonewall and retrieve these pendants? That right there is very indicative of how the ogres and the ogre empire works, by the way. They don't just enslave you. They actually have a additional mechanic where they will be able to literally track right to where you are with these slave pendants. And like he says, bring you in or take you down while you're sleeping. You have to sleep at some point, after all. There's just something kind of messed up about that, which is very much the Gorian, the way of the Gorian Empire. Escaping Stonewall was the easy part. The ogre filth that rule the pits still have my son. For a while, they used him as leverage to ensure I would fight in the arenas. But now that I have escaped, they will trade him to replace me. Please, rescue my son. If they see me, they will kill him instantly. That's true, Magister.
Let us speak.
So, what you're saying, Kay, is rather than having to fight down 3 escaping slaves, they have to fight 1? Yeah, no. That's still easier, and still screwed up. When we fled Stonewall, I had to leave others behind. If we try to rescue them, we are recognized. The ogres would know our purpose. The first thing they will do is slaughter our friends. The ogres do not know you, which might give you a fighting chance. Enter Stonewall, find the other gladiators, release them from their bonds. Do this and you will have earned our loyalty.
The strong of spirit will always triumph.
Stonewall has chieftain, and it has slave master. Today, we kill both. First, slave master Ockmock. Me fight in arena since me your size. Me no cruelty. Slave master Ockmock is cruelty. Wanna be true gladiator? Go to Stonewall Arena, bang, challenge Gog. Face beast of the slave master. Maybe you make Ockmock so mad he jump down to kill you. If he do, kill him instead. Yeah, by the way, the title of this slave master, and this is just, again, the Gorians, I swear, is Peddler of Flesh. I'm going the wrong way. Yeah, I don't really know what else to add to that. Prowler Sasha silently holds out a hand to reveal a necklace crafted of stained leather and putrid brown ogre teeth. All of them have a matching tone of rot to them. It has several knots that appear to be missing additional teeth. I can help you with that. So these guys, they use the Worgen skeleton and General Mesh, and I can never think of their names. I think they're Wolvar. A lot of people were excited to see more Wolvar. No, Magister, unfortunately. I have to do socializing later. We have a, house thing later. Anyways, so I wish there was a lot more lore. This is another example of a new species they introduced that they barely fleshed out at all. These guys have almost no real screen time as a functioning society. The only time we really get to talk about them extensively at all is in Arak, the Spires of Arak. And even that is mostly just, so here's them. All you really need to know about them is that they are savage, they are cat people, and they don't really have to do, anything with diplomacy or kindness or negotiation, anything like that. Not really any social graces of any kind whatsoever. Yeah, go ahead, Taitu. Hey, Bender. I actually just watched Bender's great score last night while I was doing some editing. I think they're the... No, they're not the Wolvar. That's wrong. The Wolvar are the guys up in Northrend. Who the heck are those guys? I can never remember their damn name. They're actually kind of irrelevant. That's part of the problem. Oh, I have an idea. One place I might be able to look that up. Nope, no. This button. No! I was on the right button. Damn it. Iron Docks.
Well, it doesn't say what species he is, but this is one of them. As you can see there. Yes, they are also from Draenor. Also, a very small but interesting note. Note that there are... Saberon! Thank you! God, I couldn't think of their friggin' name. Note that there are two distinct classes of ogres being represented here. And it's once again that same dichotomy between the warrior class, who are usually presented as stupider, and, of course, the shaman class. And the majority of these slavers are actually shamans. Which, in its own way, is actually really messed up when you think about it. So there's the slave master. Yes, Sabermaw is a specific tribe.
What's this? A new challenger! I will enjoy watching you be consumed by my little pet.
Good morning, Ezra. Oh. I can wait. So I'm going to. One second. Gotta load up the tracker. Thank you for the donation, Jalea. I am sure that Zewan will appreciate the furtherance of his cause.
A meager victory. Let's see how you fare against my personal Ogryn.
Because again, Ogryn aren't really considered people by basically anyone.
Such impudence. I will see you consumed by my favorite pet, the Jabberback.
Hello, Darker.
That was my favorite Ravager, you filthy savage. I'll kill you with my own bare hands!
Again, note, a shaman. Hello, Kovak. Yeah, I don't know what's up with Twitch today. The connection seems fine on my end. And there's apparently nothing big going on, so I don't know. Wow, Taitu. I can imagine what that would have been like, yes. Also notice they have a Arakoa here. I just point that out because one of the interesting things is this is a lowborn Arakoa. We'll talk more about what that means later. I don't feel like doing an Arakoa voice. It would destroy my throat, so...
Free at last! Join me in the Ogre Mound when you're done, and we shall slay the Ogre Chieftain together.
Congratulations, Darker. Now, this may sound stupid, but I don't remember what that takes. Like, is there some way you can make that happen?
Faster! You should have been able to kill that thing in half the time it took you. Ugh.
So that was a slaver who was trying to train. By train, I mean force someone who was chained up to fight things. We'll set him free, too. My fist and gratitude are yours, stranger. How do you feel about killing an ogre chief before you go? Wow, Darker. Damn it, is it one? I was just referring to the dichotomy between the warrior caste and the shaman caste amongst the ogres. I was just pointing it out again and talking about its significance. That's all.
I refuse to further elaborate.
Again. It is worth noting not all of the ogres who are of the warrior caste are stupid. In fact, it would be silly to think that.
Now I can kill who I want, when I want. Meet me up at the Ogre Mound when you're done. We will rip faces together. Well, okay. Yeah. Yeah. Hang on. Technical difficulties. Please stand by. Oh yeah. Gotta have that skin pizza. Apparently, guys, my stream is for mature audiences only. Who knew? Because of just all the sex and cursing and violence on my stream, you know? So this is a cute thing. You see the guards up there? Yeah, they were trying to get to this satchel right here. Pansies. Couldn't handle a 50-foot drop. Pshaw. So, oh, right, it's in there. Hey, Roaring. And now, to spoil everything... No, I'm kidding. So, I have to admit, I really liked this tidbit. So, up until this point in time, at least as a Horde character, basically everyone we've seen who we knew from our timeline is someone who has been basically the same age, you know, equivalently. No real noticeable difference. So we get this quest, and this quest is specifically to go rescue Nazgrel. Now, for those of you who don't remember Nazgrel, I won't blame you if you don't, but I remembered him basically because of Warcraft 3. He was one of the NPCs who helped us as Rexar in the founding of Orgrimmar, and he's had a few minor presences in World of Warcraft since then. There we go. So I was expecting to see, you know, Nazgrel. Yeah, exactly, Darker. For those of you who don't remember, the whole wolf riding thing was actually a big thing in Warcraft 1 and 2 and 3, and then it kind of faded in WoW. Someone please tell Jalea that not only it went through, but I've counted it and am grateful. Please. Because obviously Jalea cannot hear me right now. So let's get Nazgrel out. Did Father send you? I told him he would find a way to spring me. Thanks, stranger. And there's Nazgrel. Tiny, tiny child Nazgrel. I have to admit, that made me laugh when I first saw him. Because I was fully expecting, you know, a fully grown movie or whatever. Or movie. Orc or whatever. So this is amusing. They've kind of impaled some of the ogres on, or a ogre, I should say, on their own bridge. Thank you, strange one. Now we are free to split that chieftain Korgal wide open. Time for vengeance. We're gonna kill Korgal, and you are gonna take his axe. Shatter this feeble barrier. Follow the bridge until you reach the chieftain's throne. You freed us, so the honor of first blood is yours. Strike the first blow, and we will join you in the cutting. It's another piece of gear from
Looks like Wrath that I'm replacing. Did you mistake me for one of those weak creatures we have you fight in the arenas? And again, so this is actually something that we'll see that again. This is part of the reason I wanted to bring up the warrior and the shaman dichotomy thing. The leaders, the highest ranking members of these ogres, tend to be both people who are just as skilled in a one-on-one fight as they are in shamanism, and you're seeing that kind of mixture here. I can actually answer that, Zilwan, believe it or not. So, for those of you not aware, the double name thing amongst the ogres has to indicate, is used to indicate the fact that you have two heads. The first name is your first head's name. The second head is your second head's name, right? As long as it doesn't make things more difficult, I do. And yes, I know they're adding player scaling, but from my understanding, that's an option, so we intend to leave that off. So, like, for example, Cho Gall, one of the heads' name is Cho, and one of the heads' name is Gall. I use that as the easiest example. Some ogres, and I believe this is one of the archaeology things that mentioned this, but some ogres actually take on a double name, because remember, amongst the old Gorian, the original Ogre Empire, whose name we don't know, and the Gorian Empire, which is the offshoot of that, I'm going the wrong way, it is only the most venerated, rare, exceptional ogres actually have the two heads, because those things can happen naturally, but extremely rarely. So, at least it's supposed to be extremely rarely. So, several ogres will take on a double name to try and make themselves seem more impressive or more intimidating, or give themselves, that sort of, oh yes, I am High Lord. It's the same thing that humans will do with extensive and fancy titles. It's that kind of a concept. Prowler Sasha stares at you with cold, merciless eyes. He nods and assembles the two necklaces. Well, you're welcome. I know you can't speak my language, nor I yours. We haven't really talked about ogre females yet. See you around, Kay. We haven't really talked about ogre females because, believe it or not, there's not actually that much to talk about. So here's what we know about ogre females. They exist. We have never seen them at all. I suppose this is a good time to segue, so thank you, Justbender. We will now stop the game and talk for half an hour. No, I kid. I mean, I know I do that all the time, but in all seriousness, I do have something to talk about, and that is the fact that we were supposed to get 2 new playable races in this expansion. I'm serious. These ideas were abandoned pretty early on, but, ooh, fried rice. They abandoned these ideas pretty early on, but if you're ever wondering why the 2 factions that get the most screen time that aren't the villains in this entire expansion are the ogres and the Arakoa, well, that should help explain it. That sure, Zolon. Although I don't see any fungal nature of them. Anyways, well, I guess you mean by the reproduction. Anyways, so yeah, the words. The ogres were several people on the design team, including Metzen himself, have wanted ogres to be a playable race for a long time. And it's worth noting that it's one of the most common races that players think of when they think of a playable race being added, alongside the Naga and the High Elves. Those are the 3 that people are constantly like, yes, we want this as playable. And you hear this all the time. You've been hearing this for years. So it's a fairly normal thing. There we go. And the Arakoa also had a fairly large amount of work done in order to make them into a playable race, and that was also kind of abandoned by the wayside. Both races would still have more work to be done, and that's basically why they decided not to make them playable. They would have had to do a fairly large additional amount of work in order to make both races playable, and that would have pushed back the expansion's release. And if you're paying attention, Warlords was already a delayed release that was kind of damaging to the game as a whole, because 14 months of no content updates. So yeah, they abandoned that pretty early on in the development cycle, but you can still see the bits and pieces of it throughout. Now, I mentioned this with regards to the ogres because they had done some prep work in order to start actually having female ogres as a thing. Now, this is funny to me because I know you're about to say, well, hang on, where's the female Arakoa? Actually, this is an interesting little thing, and I kind of like this, believe it or not. Male and female Arakoa have the same models. They are male and female. They are referred to as he and she and whatnot, and they have different voice actors and actresses. But they have the same model. And from what I understand, what they were going to do is have basically different like foliage and plumage, not foliage, plumage options based on whether you picked male or female, but otherwise you would simply look like an Arakoa. I'm referring, of course, to the highborn Arakoa, not the lowborn Arakoa. And yeah, I thought that was kind of neat. Yeah, I thought that made perfect sense. Oh, that would be awesome, Zoan. So, yeah, they had done that prep work. And so we have seen, yes, the last boss of Skyreach is a female Arakoa. We have seen tiny little tidbits of ogre females. We know they exist. They are mentioned a few times in the lore. We have the female ogre mask, and they had started design work on what the actual models would look like, and then they changed their mind, and all of that work was abandoned. So we have no idea if we'll ever get ogre females in the future or not. If you're asking why we haven't seen ogre females all that often, if you're asking for a lore reason, I don't have one. I could invent one. You know, I can speculate based on the way ogre societies have worked, and it would actually be fairly easy to do so. After all, oh, I know, Darker. Ogre society is the kind of society with the severity of the brutality in it that would probably venerate women. That would probably try, and I don't mean venerate as in the same way the orcs do, where the women are right up there up the front lines because that's natural. I mean venerate as in get back there behind the front lines and be safe. You know what I mean? I actually agree with you on that, Zawan. I think if they were going to make ogres playable, they should do something bold and not have ogre females. Basically, I think it would have been neat if they had had the Arakoa thing, different actors and actresses, but otherwise same appearance because they're birds, so, kind of breaking the mold there, and have the ogres only capable of being male, and explain away their reproduction some other way. And let's be honest ourselves, there's dozens of ways the ogres could reproduce without needing genders. The Mogu reproduce without genders. I spent a whole time talking about that when we were going through the Throne of Thunder, remember? And remember, the ogres are probably an offshoot of Titan keeper races, or seed races anyways, given the whole ogre, Ogren, Gron, Magaron thing. So it's not that hard to assume that ogres could, again, reproduce without needing genders. So I'm actually in full agreement with you. I think we don't need ogre females. And I think it would be a neat way to break the mold a bit to have just ogre males and Arakoa that look the same but have different actors. But shrug, what the hell do I know? But yeah, so like I said, there's no lore reason I could give you as to why we don't see ogre females. The gameplay reason, and this is funny, is because every time the designers, the art team, has sat down and tried to make ogre females, they have been unsatisfied with the results. And this is using their words here. They've been like, okay, let's try this. And nope, it sucked. Back to the drawing board. Let's try this. Nope, it sucked. Back to the drawing board. And they apparently have been having severe issues making it work. So they've just kind of abandoned the idea, and basically every ogre we see ever, and I do mean 100%, are male. Or don't have a gender. Although they do refer to them as he and him, so... Well, thank you for being honest with me, Taito. I agree. psychotic with that statement. So.
I am listening.
Gorgrond has ruled uncontested for too long. Far too long.
Sure, Baronessa, go ahead.
This blade has caused enough pain and suffering for one lifetime. We will see to it that it is properly disposed of.
Be brave. You are not alone.
We watch you from afar. We like your fighting skills. Show much promise.
Yeah, I can't say I like that, to be completely honest with you. Of course not, Craze. Why would you? Twitch. Love you, Twitch. I'm not going to answer you directly, Taitu, but let's just say that I get it. And once I finish the WoW Lorerun, I am going to get back to the YouTube stuff. There are many reasons why I've been pulling out of the YouTube stuff lately. The biggest reason is because the WoW Lorerun, so I'm not going to deny that. I also enjoy streaming more than I enjoy the YouTube stuff. I'm not going to deny that. But YouTube is becoming more and more dangerous. It has gotten to the point where someone has actually been sued, has actually been drawn into court, and will be spending the next several years of their life in all of the money and time and stress and pain and investment in order to try and defend themselves, and the best possible outcome is that they will get to be able to go back to what they were already doing. They won't win anything for all of their efforts. They will simply be able to maintain where they were, having spent however many years of time and investment and money and stress and pain and hardship and fear in order to accomplish that, because one asshole who deserves to die decided to sue them over something stupid. But that is the truth. That is what YouTube is like right now, and I have admittedly been pulling out of YouTube a little bit because of that. I have been putting very serious thought into discontinuing YouTube in its entirety, because I feel that the entire environment, and that's just one example, the entire environment of YouTube has been getting very, very dangerous, and I have been pursuing other possibilities. This does not mean I would discontinue my features section. You'll notice I call it features and not YouTube on everything I do. That's a deliberate choice. But I have been putting very, very serious thought and work and effort into thinking about alternatives to YouTube, because I feel YouTube is starting to be wrong. Much more wrong than it ever has been before. So, I freely admit part of the reason I have been hesitant to get back into my features, in addition to all the other things going on, is because of that. It has gotten to the point now where I am afraid to release virtually anything of certain types of content onto my YouTube, either of my YouTube channels. And certain things will never go live onto my YouTube channels for that fear. So, the problem is, I have a decent amount of understanding of what it would take to abandon YouTube. And what that would require is money, a fairly large amount of money. So that's kind of a long-term thing. If my show ever really takes off, if I ever get to the point where I am able to, pay my bills normally and actually have money left over to fully invest into the show proper, then at that point in time, if I hit that marker I have on Patreon, for example, at that point in time, then I'll be able to go ahead and pursue the abandoned YouTube plan. Right now, that's just not feasible. That would cost simply too much money for the storage and the streaming and the hosting. Anywho, so, quests. Do you have the slave pendants? You've shown more honor in this one act than I have seen in many years. When this is over, I will swear my axe to your forces and pass my knowledge to your troops.
What is it?
This deed will never be forgotten as long as you or my son live. You have my gratitude, hero, and my loyalty.
Speak.
Hang on. One other thing that would be cool if they did it with the garrisons, at least this is my opinion. It was mentioned by someone in chat, and this was a great idea and I loved it. Forgive me for not remembering who. This was the other day. That's No, Taitu. There's a difference between I'm going to walk away peacefully and I'm going to shoot myself in the face. I'm not trying to commit suicide here, Taitu. um, yeah. So, anywho, the, words. The, God, brain. One of the things that would be cool is if in each area, you could basically send troops to different quest areas or different zones, and then those troops could actually assist you in combat with their particular skills based on who it is you assign to where and whatnot. Another thing I think it would be cool is as we go through here, we meet people of a variety of different backgrounds, and it would be neat if we got some kind of like small but nevertheless existent gameplay bonus. For example, this guy who is like, I will train your troops so they will be better at, blah. And so now, because we have him, we can assign him as a trainer, a sergeant, if you will, to a group of troops. So he wouldn't actually be one of the troops we have in this area. He would be someone leading those troops, giving them a bonus. Or you could simply assign him as another troop, that kind of a thing. And I like that idea. I like the idea of making the garrison follower feature be something more than, I want to send you on this mission kind of a thing. I think that would have been neat. I know, it's Warlords. They were already short on time and they abandoned it. But forgive me for thinking about what they could have done more. We owe you our freedom. And more. I have spoken to the others, and we are willing to return with you to your garrison and teach those pitiful creatures you call soldiers how to properly fight. We will also do our best to impart our knowledge to you, Commander. Should you have need of us, simply call us in the wilds. You may wish to warn Limflayer of our coming. Oh, dude, hell yes, psychotic. Hi, Takoida. Farewell, Azura. That's how you break out of a gladiator pit. You're fun. Your weapons are covered in a rainbow of blood. I'm going to follow you now. I love the simplicity of it. Laughing Skull, enjoy the fight. We bring lots of fights. I'm with you. Hang on, is Smudboy the one I was thinking of? Give me just a second. Are you... Apparently, so I didn't know Smudboy was being sued, unless he's the one I'm thinking of, which I suppose is possible. And yeah, there's the Jim Sterling thing. Neither of those are what I was referring to, actually. Believe it or not. Whoops, right. I can't remember who it is. I should know. But I don't. I was literally just looking into this a couple of days ago because there had been an update on it. You know what? I have another way of checking. Hang on. H3H3. That's what I was thinking of. Thank you. That's what I was thinking of. H3H3. H3H3 is the one I was specifically referencing just now. It's the one that really just absolutely disgusted me. I don't mind talking about this. Here's what happened. H3H3 did a reaction video that was, making fun of the original content. And the person decided to sue them. And I want to stress this because some people don't really understand what suing means. There are people out there who don't understand how the American justice system works and don't understand how incredibly stupid and violent and terrible and horrible and awful and wrong it is, okay? The way this works is, first of all, it's not something that can just be thrown out. There's no ruling summarily. This is not like television where the judge makes a decision call or whatever. No, they've got to go through this whole ridiculous process, which takes months and months and months in order to process. And again, there's that whole stress and fear factor that's going through the entire time. Because here's the thing. I like to distinguish this. I'm sure curious if Baroness will agree on this. There's a huge difference between reality and legality. Now, I am referring to the American system of legality, so this does not apply to other countries, just to make that clear. But here in the United States, there's reality and there's legality. Now, in reality, if I tell you, there's a gentleman who is saying that someone else is violating and infringing on their work, okay? And they have stolen that material that belongs to the original ruler, and they should owe them damages and money for that. And the settlement that was offered was $4,000 a year of advertising the sewers channel. I'm not even going to say names. I don't want to give them the press. A year of offering free advertising for this guy and a public apology for having been derisive towards his content. That was the settlement that was offered. Now, in reality, if I was to tell just about anyone I know, including, I imagine, everyone in chat right now, that's his case, what's your reaction to that? I'll go ahead and give you a little more details. It's a reaction video, so they're here talking, reacting to it while the video is back there, like on the green screen or whatever. So that's what it is. It's a reaction video. You know what a reaction video is. So that's it. That's their case. Their case is that because they have that content back there, that is stealing their property, his property. Yeah, I'm already seeing some responses. I like Baroness's response best so far. Seriously, that is reality. Okay, in reality, they have no case. In reality, there's nothing there. In reality, this is a joke. Unfortunately, in legality, everything else I talked about is going to be happening. And unfortunately, copyright law is, copywrong law is so messed up and ill-applied here in the United States that they have a case. I'm serious. He actually has a case for the fact that in purely legal terms, he could pursue this. And here's the really scary part. Here's the part that adds to that whole stress and fear thing I mentioned. The guy suing them might win. That will be up to a jury. And you know what determines that jury's answers? That jury. Think about this for a moment. How many jokes have you ever had about jury duty? How many jokes have you ever had about, oh, I don't want to go in there and have to sit through all this garbage? How many people do you know whom you would trust to think analytically and logically and dissect a case in order to be able to respond to it appropriately and make a judgment on it? How many people do you know who you would trust to be a juror? I can think of 3 off the top of my head, of the many, many hundreds of people I know. Now think that people is just being pulled from a random selection. A group of people who just got pulled for it. You've been selected for jury duty. This, in my opinion, is probably the single most scary thing about the United States justice system, because the fate of so many of these cases relies on juries. Now, it is such a thing that sometimes judges can and do rule summarily. For those of you who don't know what that means the judge basically says, nope, this isn't going to a jury trial, which is a whole separate thing, right? That jury trial's over here. Like during the conference trial or whatever, the judge will just say, it's over. This is my judgment on the matter. And it is worth noting that there is a very wide gap of difference between civil cases and criminal cases. Obviously, this falls under the civil case, and sometimes civil cases will simply be ruled on summarily. So that is a possibility. However, we've also seen that varies wildly based on the county in question, because for those of you who don't know, the legal system doesn't actually have to do with states in the strictest sense of the word. It has to do with counties. Counties are where these things actually are decided in, okay? Right, I need to turn the bot back on, don't I? Nobody click that. So, yeah, okay. Go away. Anywho, so yeah, the real scary part here is assuming this goes to jury trial, which apparently is likely from everything I've understood on the matter. And they've been very open about it. This will be a situation where it's all going to be dependent on what a random selection of 12 people decides. And how much, I mean, that may be good, that may be bad, you don't know. It's such a random variable that has so many thousands of different things that could impact it. And if they win, and by they I mean he, I really should keep saying see, if the enemy, let's just say it properly, if the enemy wins in that case, can you imagine how much that will be damaging to YouTube, to copyright law, to anyone? Because at that point the door is just flung open, isn't it? It won't set precedent, because that's actually not how precedent is set. Precedence is set by case law, and case law only happens in appeals. Okay? So I know some people don't fully understand that. Yeah, no kidding, Baronessa. Yeah, so it is entirely possible that if the enemy wins, at that point any old Joe could decide, well, I'm going to sue you for an incredibly stupid reason, and now... And I'm okay with going along with that, because after all, they got away with it. Now here's the other stupid thing. If our side wins, and I'm going to say that flatly, I am fully on H3's side on this. I want to make that statement 100% clear. 100% on their side. If our side wins in this matter, well, again, there's no real precedent set, and all that did was that meant that that other guy got his revenge. Think about this for a moment. Why is he doing this? Is he doing it to win the case? Is he doing it because he thinks he has a real, he thinks he has a case? Is he doing it because he thinks he is in the legal right? Is he doing it because he thinks he has actually been damaged or actually had his copyrights taken? No, of course he isn't. He's doing it because he's a 3-year-old. I shouldn't say that, excuse me, because my niece is a 3-year-old and she's better behaved than this guy. He's doing it because he's a moron. He's doing it because he is a foolish adolescent child who is trying to hurt someone who insulted him. And that's why he's doing it. So, literally, no matter how this goes, he wins. He gets what he wants. Because he will have hurt them. He will have caused them pain and anguish, stress, and he will have cost them money. Think about that. And now what Baronessa said is true. It is within H3H3's legal right, assuming they won, to countersue. Countersuing is a very murky field here in the States. And it's not exactly what you call a guarantee. And even if it wins, there's... even if they won the countersuit, which, by the way, would cost them more time and money. Even if they won the countersuit, then it still wouldn't be 100% guaranteed that they'd get the money. Because of the way the system works. It's kind of messed up. No, Psychotic, unfortunately, that's not actually how that works. If that works, that is a thing. It applies in certain cases. I will say that I don't understand or know if it would apply in this case, so I'll go ahead and give my honest answer to that. But the whole lawyers have to pay, or the losing party has to pay the lawyer's fee thing, that only applies in a small bracket of cases, and they would have to ask their lawyers if this applies in this particular case or not. So yeah, this is the world we live in. When the weak and the foolish and the selfish and the childish can try to hurt other people and will get away with it. And the best part is, it's nothing new. Wait. You're fine, Taito. I feel like you guys deserve to know one of the reasons I've been thinking about pulling out of YouTube entirely. Yeah, it is, Soofster. All you have to do is not create content that has anything to do with anything else. And not discuss other people's content. And not think about other people's content. The real problem, and I'm sure not everyone is actually aware of this yet, is the fact that this is like step one. You guys understand the concept of escalation, of course. We are not yet at escalation. It's going to get worse. And I am trying to get out before it gets worse.
Blood and thunder, strength.
Ah, good. We have Beat Face now. Yay. I don't know how many of you are aware of Sci-Fi Debris. He actually uses an independent player and hosts his videos on his own website rather than using YouTube. That is what I want to do. That would also open me up to do a couple of other things with my show. But that is what I actually want to do. The problem is that will be expensive. And yes, I know H3H3 has raised quite a bit of money. A lot of people have ponied in. I've actually ponied in as well to them. So, you know, that's a thing. All I gotta say about the whole thing with regards to that, by the way, is I've had companies say that me talking in front of a camera, no music, no background, anything other than my looping backgrounds, is their content. And that I am violating their copyright for that. Now, I have fought every one of those successfully, but the fact that they're trying says a lot, I think. So, anywho, let's go do something awesome to take our minds off of all that garbage. The creature is alive, but completely incapacitated by Iron Horde chains. Ah, crap.
Back to the dust with you.
Oh god, the Grond's got me. Hit me. Hit me. Oh my god. Thank you, Cosmic. I appreciate it. So yes, that's Rexar. To make it clear, this is not our Rexar. This is their Rexar. Alternate Rexar.
Strength and honor.
Thank you, friend. I am in your debt. This arrogant Iron Horde has made a dangerous enemy today. See you around, Myron. You have saved my most precious companion, Nisha. Wait, that's Nisha? I owe you a great debt. The Iron Horde lured me away to separate us. I shall not make the same mistake again. They have inflicted grievous wounds, and I fear we must cause her even more pain before the healing process can begin. Please, use a burning log from the nearby fire to cauterize her wounds. I will hold her down.
For the Horde.
Yeah, he jumped up to the thing's head and chopped him straight in the skull. That's why he one-shot him, basically.
You'll be okay, Nisha. Loktar!
Thank you. Her wounds have closed. Nisha will heal. This ordeal has taken a toll on her. She needs water and rest. I'll bring her to my camp and make her comfortable. Will you meet us there with some fresh water?
Go with honor.
Basilisk is one of Nisha's favorite treats. This is where she hunts, and that's likely how the Iron Horde bastards were able to capture her. Why would they go to the trouble to subdue her this way? Perhaps together you and I might learn the answer as we punish them for their transgressions. For now, Nisha's going to need some food. While I tend to her, will you do hunting for her?
Go forth to victory.
And then he just carries Nisha. Because he's freaking Rexar. I like the Rexar quests. They're awesome and a little silly. We don't actually know how old the Mok'Nathal live to be. We do know that the ogres live fairly long lives, assuming they are not killed, by themselves or by anything around them. So it's possible, being the half-ogre thing, that they might actually survive long enough that, yeah, Rexar basically hasn't really aged, because for him it's a relatively smaller period of time. I don't know, though. That's pure speculation. Oh, that. Yes, I am aware of that, Rory. And he can get away with that because he's a lot bigger than I am. That would be far riskier for me. He actually has backing. I do not. I don't think I could do a Hulk Hogan voice. I'd have to think about that. Damn it! If only I was flying, I wouldn't have to deal with this. Damn you for wasting my time. Crap. No, no, we're okay. No, I definitely can't do Randy Savage. I could do Kool-Aid guy. Kool-Aid man. Why is it not? I also can't do a, I can't Taitu. I can't do it. Anything I could do would simply be insufficient. Ah, that's right. Naturally, I should have realized. This is Gorgrond. The only way you can get water here is to kill the elemental furies and steal it from them. There we go. Ah, damn it, Takoida. Now I'm thinking about FF10-2's brother. And how amazing he was in FF10. At Blitzball. And nothing else. This, by the way, is another nice example of just how messed up Gorgrond is. The only way to really claim water, one of the most basic resources that exists, is to have to fight for it. Now, I know what you're thinking. You know, obviously, for gameplay purposes, we're literally killing the Furies for it, and that's not necessarily true. We probably could try to sneak in and deal with it. But nevertheless, if we tried to just sneak in and take some of the waters from these pools, we still would have a fight on our hands. It's just we wouldn't be killing them for their water. We'd be killing them for the water they're protecting. So the same point, lore-wise, still applies. Also, there's that Magaron again. As an aside, I know it will never, ever, ever happen, but playable Magaron, let's do it! No? You guys don't agree? Okay, that's okay, I understand. So there's Puffer.
Is this one of yours?
Rexar, yeah, let him go. Let him go.
Blood and thunder.
I found this one skulking nearby. He claims to be an ally of ours. Is this true, or does he cook slowly over my fire?
Dabu.
Yeah, he's one of mine.
Strength.
Yeah, told you. Tell him who I am, Commander. Tell him I like bones and killing.
Sure thing, Zuck. Yeah, no kidding, that's true. You know how we talked many times about how we'd like to settle, live in Pandaria, and several of us were sharing thoughts about how it would be cool to live in several of the zones in Pandaria. I don't think there's any zone in Draenor I'd like to live in. They all have their own problems. Shadowmoon is probably the closest, I'd say. Maybe Nagrand.
Speak.
That half-orc burned my toes! Good to see your bones are still intact, Valvaxis. Zuck's too. When you came into the heart of the canyon, Zuck came to offer services. Zuck not letting you take all the skulls. Zuck will share with you powerful spirit magics my clan has passed down for many generations. While Zuck make preparations, you gather reagents. First, we need crystals from husks of Gorgrond.
Okay.
What is it?
Zuck me, right? The magic Zuck is weaving will let you perform great acts, but preparations must be made before the spirits bless us with their power. Zuck will need many shells from pesky Gorgrond. To gather them, Zuck will share a secret. Approach their tunnels, and the Gorgrond will pour out. This way you kill many at once. What the bony Zuck? I love his quest names. Have some water, girl. Have some meat.
Sug.
Bad at breaking. Screams and howls growl from the echo canyons below, even more than usual. I don't dare leave Nisha alone yet. Will you investigate the noises?
Go forth to victory.
Since I left on my last hunt, the Iron Horde have drawn nearer and reinforced their position. They've created a target-rich environment. I must continue nourishing Nisa to health for you. You will go in my stead, friend. Fill them with the fear and pain they have inflicted on her. Make their screams fill the canyon.
Go with honor.
You think that bad, Dakota? There's the innkeeper. Keepers. It's a rat. And we have a merchant. Buddy. A cleft hoof. It's Rexar. I mean, come on. Alright, what the hell's going on over here? Looks like the Iron Horde are trying to enslave more Gorgrond. And as you might imagine, it's taking significant effort. Because they're freaking Gorgrond. I mean, I don't really feel like there needs to be any further explanation there. Yeah, wouldn't you, Takoida? I hear this rat is very trustworthy. He got a 4 out of 5 stars on Bing. Nagrand, Magister. And a little bit in Heimal. I wouldn't mind taming a one either, but I do have to admit, if anybody's going to tame a monster, it's frickin' Rexar. Because, you know, they're fricking... Yeah. Anyways. Well, in all honesty, as much as I enjoy the Gronds, aesthetically speaking, they really are very simple. They are giant. They're giants who are Cyclopses. That's really it. There's not a lot of complexity to them. The only thing that makes them any different from your standard giants who are Cyclopses is the fact that they happen to be partially elemental. Raz, your orders are to capture 4 additional Gorgrond for the weaponization. Of your first group, only 1 survived the entire process. One attacked our soldiers relentlessly and had to be put down. Another fell victim to misfire while being fitted. Yet another rolled onto its cannons while it slept. We're still cleaning up that mess. Rest assured, your efforts are not in vain. So yes, they are weaponizing the Gorgrond. We've actually already seen this. We saw this in the Tanan Jungle instance. They will literally put cannons and fit them to the back of Gorgrond and use the Gorgrond as mobile artillery, which is actually pretty horrifying when you think about it. I mean, Gorgrond are already massive engines of death and destruction and the kind of thing that most people fear. Adding cannons to that? Oh, by the way, this is basically one for one the kind of Iron Star launcher that they used in the cinematic. I just wanted to show it off here a little bit.
Know the might of the Iron Horde. I am the Grond Slaver, and I shall slave Gronds. All the Gronds.
What do you mean by glitch out, Peter? I mean, obviously I'm going to just go ahead and say no, because I don't recall any glitches on it. Yes, but it would increase their range, Dakota. Think about it. Think of the possibilities.
With artillery Gron.
I've decided we're going to start implementing artillery Gron
within the Imperium.
No? No, okay, maybe not.
Maybe we won't do that. That sounds silly.
I wonder what this is.
Oh, crap.
Yeah, no kidding, Arimatheus. I've always felt that was kind of the point. It was showing off how much Grom could accomplish. If you remember the cinematic clearly, it was very, very difficult for him to lift the thing. Like, it took him significant effort and a chunk of time in order to be able to lift the thing. And even then, it was only temporarily. So yeah, I think that was the point, was to show off how strong he is when he tries. These are Gorgrond crystals. They're pretty pretty for what they are. Yeah, I can't say I've seen that, Peter. Sorry. Wow, Baronessa. How'd they get around it, specifically? I mean, I get the general idea. There's a term for that, Taitu. It's called clickbait.
You won't believe why WoW's amazing.
Wait, I'm sorry. Clickbait usually has to be negative, too. Because people have to click it to be... and they want to argue about it, so...
Why you won't believe WoW is dying. 10 top reasons why WoW is a terrible game and you should hate it.
Interesting, so it actually changes the way the game saves. That's fascinating. That must have been a hell of a thing to code. And then I'll have like a picture of Sylvanas.
You won't believe what we caught on camera.
And then it's her, like, raising someone from the dead or something. You know, clickbait. You know what clickbait is. And the sad thing is clickbait works, and I don't understand that. But then again, as I've said very, very recently and many times in my life, I don't understand why rubbernecking is a thing. But it is. For those of you not aware of what rubbernecking is, I don't know if this is a thing in other countries, but here in the States, we have a thing where people will slow down to look at an accident. Let me say that again in case it's not really clear. If there's an accident on the side of the road, which is not blocking traffic and not slowing down traffic, so in other words, it's out of the way completely of traffic, there will almost always be a traffic jam behind it as people slow down to look at it, and then speed up the moment you get past it. That's a thing. That's a real thing. And I'm saying that with the tone I am right now because I still have trouble believing it, even though I have seen it in action more than once. I mean... So that's why clickbait works. Because of the same reason that rubbernecking is still a problem.
What do you need?
They're enslaving the Gorgrond. This is an even bigger problem than it might seem.
Dabu.
Thank you. Nisha is nearly returned to health.
Strength. Thrall, hull. For the Horde.
Ding? Really? Ding? Okay. Well, I already took a picture up at the foundry. Why don't we take a picture right about here? Come on. Come here. Get off my perch. Any theories on to where our level 100 ding picture will be?
Speak.
Laughing Skull have some dirty tricks behind our masks. Yes, we don't need their bones, but we do need their crystals.
What is it?
Zuck. Ah, yes. Zuck is one step closer to performing a miracle. It is done. With this enhancement, not only can you roam the Gorgrond freely, but you can move as they do. Your travels through Gorgrond are now made simple. You have safe access to places otherwise impossible to reach. Zuck's ancestors have made it so. Yep. Playable Gorgrond. They even have a jump animation. Do you know how many creatures in this game still don't have a jump animation? Like Murlocs. Hey, Shadow. What's going on? Tasty, Rylock. Yes. Yes. And yeah, I think I will take the last 100 picture in Tanan at the broken portal. I think that's a good idea. Nice way to cap it off. I'll probably call that like the 101 picture. Whoa! It's Drop the Ruiner. Whoa! Okay, we're not... We're gonna ignore that area. We're going somewhere else. Whoa. Looks like the Ogren and the Iron Horde are trying to capture Gorgrond. Interesting. I'm trying to make a Bugs Bunny joke here, Taito, and I'm failing, so I guess I'll just have to say, eh. What's up, Doc? Hey, we found a letter on one of them. Wonder what it says. General Orgrim. You know, that Orgrim. The Gorgrond have taken a squad of our men, snatched them from what we thought was a safe zone in broad daylight. That's not the worst of it. Among the missing is Corporal Thukmar. He's gone, along with all his latest notes. I have dispatched a squad into the Fissure of Fury. I can't read the rest of it while I'm in tunnel form. Apparently I can't read while I'm tunneling. Go figure. Yeah. I guess we'll read the rest of it in a moment. Yeah, no, not this way. Come on. No, left. You. I have to admit, this is an amusing method of travel. This isn't the first time they did this. They did this in Deephold as well, actually. Still cool. Ahem. I have dispatched a squad into the Fissure of Fury to recover the notes and perhaps our truths. I'll update you when there's news. You know, to my knowledge, Zawan, I don't know. We'll talk a little bit more about Orgrim and why he's terrible in Warlords once we get to Talador, though. Because there's a reason for it, believe it or not. Hey, Merfolk. You're right, Taito. It is better than flying. because I get to do this. I get to put I get that wheel power up in the Kirby games. You know the one. It's like the best power up. No? Okay.
Sug.
What has the orc done to you? It's good you still have your wits about you. You do still have your wits about you, right? The Ogryn possess something of value to the Iron Horde. I am sure they're unaware, just bored and in need of something to torture. I'd be inclined to let them be. It's a fate they deserve, but we can't afford not to follow up on this clue. With any luck, it will help us stop the Iron Horde from turning Gorgrond's most fearsome creatures into weapons. Try to find Corporal Thuckmar in his notes. We'll see you there.
Strength. Strength and
The
honor.
Ogryn are far from brilliant, but they're more intelligent than the Grahn. They're large, even stronger than they look. Their leader, Borogon, is especially formidable. Despite several fights, I have not yet managed to kill him. Heed my words, friend. Take caution as you explore their lair. Nisha's ready to move. Ask her to take you to the mouth of the cave, and I'm sure she'd be happy to.
Dabu.
Well, Murfall, once I finish Warlords, we'll be done. Oh, hang on. This is the final resting place of some of my companions that were killed by the Ogryn. Visha, newly born, not yet ready for combat. Keisha, still young, but showing great promise. And finally, dearest of them all, Letitia. Hello, Genghis. Were it not for you, this would be Nisha's resting place as well. And I'd have to find some bear or something and call her Misha. I hope you get the joke. Nisha is willing to take you to the den of the Ogryn if you are in need. So, how long will the Warlorn be? Well, honestly, I keep getting delayed by real-life stuff. The timing has not been great. But I am probably going to finish Gorgrond tomorrow. And then we're probably going to do... So we've got 3 zones after that. Ideally, I'd be done Thursday, but realistically, I don't think that's going to happen. So I'm going to estimate we're going to finish sometime around this coming Saturday. Assuming real life keeps getting in the way, like it has been. I mean, like today is a half day, for example. Just name another example. Whoops. And then, of course, it will be on to the features stuff. I have no interest in even touching my garrison on this character. There's no reason to, Genghis. This. Okay. I gotta talk about something. So that's Grow the Uncreator. He's a Magneron, as you can see. So, you remember how I mentioned how it's funny to me? I actually talked about this in Cataclysm. See you around, Tai, too. I talked about it because it was significant for the fact that the shamans listen to the spirits, but the spirits don't necessarily have what's in your best interest. Now, sometimes, like especially with, say, ancestral spirits, they are actually interested in whatever's good for you because they care about you. That's the whole reason they became an ancestral spirit, right? But that's not necessarily true. And elemental spirits can be mischievous or otherwise have their own goals. My favorite example of this is when Thrall was actually praying to the elemental spirits of Azeroth, and he succeeded. And the Fire Lord, Ragnaros, talked to him and told him about how doomed he was. But again, the spirits giving you visions and whatnot, that's not necessarily the truth. It's whatever they choose to tell you. So a lot of shamans treat it as if it's the truth, even if it shouldn't be. And I bring that up because...
Speak.
Spirits have spoken to me. They believe the Magneron, Grow the Uncreator, will join our fight and lead his underlings against the Iron Horde. This is an honor beyond any bestowed upon a laughing skull, at least in my time. I will commune with the Magneron. Together, we will destroy the Iron Horde. Grow the Uncreator. I call to you. The spirits of the Laughing Skull have spoken. We must join to fight our common enemy, the Iron Horde. Yes, it's working. The spirits were right.
The name of that quest, if you didn't catch, was Zero Zucks Given.
What is it?
So, he's decided to live on as an ancestral spirit, probably out of spite in his case.
The spirits of my ancestors have betrayed me. Their skulls are surely laughing. If my spirits aren't with Zuck, Zuck isn't with them. You, though, Zuck likes you. Get the Zuck out of here.
So, in case you missed that, he could have gone on to the rest of his ancestral spirits, but he's kind of pissed at them, so he decided to go with us instead. So we actually literally have an ancestral spirit wandering around our garrison now. Trust me, that is far from the weirdest guy we get in our garrison. We actually get the leader of the overgrowth in our garrison if you do some quest chains for it. Oh, I'm sure, Taqueta. No, you don't understand. We meant more metaphorically that the Magaron would join you. The best part is the Magaron do basically end up going against, well, let's just say that they become fell rather than anything else. After the Iron Horde basically failed at taming them like 5 times in a row. Because, you know, Magaron. I mean, I gotta be honest, I actually like the fact that of all the things that they failed to tame, the fact that the Magaron are in that list. Because they're freaking Magnaron, for God's sakes. You'd think it would be very, very, very difficult to tame a Magnaron. Down we go. Hey, it's a skull. And I can get resources out of a skull. This gives me an idea. By the way, I find this area fascinating. This is basically a den of Ogryn. It actually would not surprise me, genuinely, if this is where the Iron Horde and the High Maul, and I guess that's it, really, all come in order to capture fresh Ogryn for their slave pits. And yes, he just threw an orc at us as if the orc was a weapon. A ranged weapon. With somewhat limited ammo, though. You know, I wonder what Ogryn tastes like. Yeah, but we need rivers of blood to complement it, if we're going to do that. I will have my horde. Hey, Corporal. Wow, you're alive. Kill. Eat. Time to pieces. Ate. Alive. They took us. Die. Kill me. Kill me. Kill me, please. Please kill me. Yeah, they were eating them alive. Maybe I'm weird, but one of the things that always disturbed me more than other things is the concept of being eaten alive. And this goes all the way back to Return of the Jedi, believe it or not. I'm serious. Think about Return of the Jedi and that freaking, Rancor. Think about the fact that what it was doing was basically grabbing people and going, nom, nom, nom. Imagine for a moment what it would be like to be, you know, at least partially still alive. Because, I mean, yeah, he does that initial chomp, and as it's down. And after he does the initial chomp, I mean, you're basically dying, but you're still going to be conscious as you're going down its throat. And what would that feel like, going down the throat of a massive beast while still alive and in terrible pain? Just picture that for a moment. Except this is kind of worse, because basically what happens here is because the Oggrons are giant, it just grabs you and take a bite out of you. And then puts you back down on the pit. I mean...
Well done, friend. It is rare for one to emerge from that cave alive.
Yeah, we don't talk about the Sarlacc. Sarlacc goes over the line for me, especially with the EU.
What do you need?
I've said before, I think the Sarlacc doesn't even fit in Star Wars. It's way too horrifying. Oh, I should read the intel.
Go forth to victory.
This is magnificent. I have unearthed an artifact of unknown origin. Touching it instantly floods my mind with a vision of every Magneron and Gron that walks in Gorgrond. What's more, I am overcome with a sense that each of these creatures are an appendage to me. I have found myself able to commune with them, manipulate them, even shape their thoughts. I am returning to the Foundry to inform Blackhand directly. This discovery will hasten our purging of Draenor, and of many worlds to come.
Yeah, Vor is something we don't want to talk about in this channel, and we have officially closed the door on that topic.
Loktar!
Again, you've done well, friend. We have the notes. Let's see what they reveal about our enemy's strategy.
Go with honor.
Most people cannot handle Ogryn in single combat.
For the Horde, strength.
The notes you have recovered tell of a device capable of subjugating even a Magneron. It might be of Titan origin. Ancient legend speaks of such artifacts crafted by the world builders to keep these creatures in check. So this is probably the first definitive Titan connection we have between, well, between the Titans and the Magneron here on Draenor. I had discounted them as silly stories, but if they are true, Valvaxis Draenor is doomed. No army will be able to stop them if they harness this power. We must stop them or die trying. Here, I will bind our sight to Nisha, see if she can locate this artifact.
Go forth to victory.
Flap, 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 flap.
Another hour on the outside zone. We're basically at the any moment I'll be cutting it off space right now. Well, we found the Titan artifact. So there's so many unanswered questions about Draenor and about its Titan connection and about its Old God connection. I hate to say this for the 50th time, but I weep for what could have been. Because we could have had all of this lore expanding upon this place, just like we had Pandaria expanding so much on the lore of Azeroth, you know? We could have understood so much more about how these people work and about how these things work. And instead, well, we got Warlords. Now, I do love Warlords, I really do. I actually cried yesterday at that cutscene of Frostfire Ridge, on camera. But I crave the lore. It's like someone has placed before me a picture of a banquet, and I'm like, yes, that, I want that. And the response is, well, tough. You don't get that. But it looks amazing. Yep. Come on, you know? In fact, it's one of the reasons I have trouble rereading Harry Potter every now and again. The description of those feasts is just torturous.
Thrall, hull.
Good. We know where we must go to acquire this artifact. The artifact we seek is in our grasp. Be prepared for a fight. If they truly have learned how to control Gron, this could be more difficult than I anticipated.
For the Horde.
Right about this time on the southern side of things, we would be assisting the Laughing Skull in going through that last, the black rock, or the black iron, dark iron, black rock, dark iron. Dark Iron Camp, and finding out about the fact that the Overgrowth had finished building one of their Genosaurs and was unleashing it on people. And then you use the cannons in the camp to defeat the Genosaur.
The object we seek is here.
Hey, Rexar. Hi, Formosan.
Get them!
Now, it's worth noting the acquisition of this artifact is recent. I mentioned that to emphasize the fact that they had already subjugated Gruul and several of the other Grond that they have done so before this, because of the Thunderlord influence. I've already talked about that. This is a way to fully mentally control all of the Titan Keeper creatures. And wouldn't it be interesting if it applied to ogres
I've
too?
always enjoyed killing Gron.
Oh, you can kind of see the beginnings of the fortifications they put on their back there. We'll show that off a little bit better on later. But yeah, imagine for a moment if they could completely dominate the ogres in addition to everything else because of their connection to the Gron and the Magneron. We don't know if they could, though, to be honest. They never got a chance to try. We take the thing from them.
Misha, get her down here.
Grab. I suppose that's true, Arimatheus. And I am hopeful we will get more. If nothing else, the Chronicles books will continue to establish it. Probably not Zawan, because I imagine these are built specifically for these types of creatures, not all
Well
Titan
done.
creatures.
The artifact is yours to take.
It even looks Titan, doesn't it? Look at it. Tell me that doesn't look Titan. I've heard some people argue it's not Titan, to which I just kind of raise my eyebrow. So I had a weird thought the other day. Who out there would want to play an XCOM style game in terms of gameplay set in Warcraft? Ahem. We all know Baronessa would play as the Greenskins. There is no other choice in any Warhammer. Green is best. Thank you, Jenkins.
Frostwolf blood runs thick.
Good work, Velvoxus. We can use this against the Iron Horde when the time is right.
You have shown great courage and recovered an invaluable artifact. Roktar. In one another, we find.
It would be very difficult to implement. I actually agree completely with that sentence. I was actually thinking about this the other day because I was... Okay, so when I do my exercises, I usually watch speedruns for entertainment and to keep me distracted. I was watching a Super Mario RPG speedrun, and my mind was just kind of thinking about possibilities for other, ways you could take something like that. And I started thinking about, how many other settings I think the XCOM format, turn-based, tactical squad-based combat would work. And I started thinking about all sorts of other settings I would love a game like that in, and actually StarCraft was on the list too. Because, yeah. Not that I don't want Warcraft 4. Quite the contrary. I'm very much looking forward to Warcraft 4 whenever they actually do it. And I do think at this point, based on a few things, it's a little more likely than it used to be. But, the idea of a turn-based tactical thing would be awesome.
I am here.
Marrow sent you. Our village destroyed? I would have been back already if it wasn't for these
Cursed plant beasts.
It is a good day to fight.
I have a hunting den not far from here where I gather my trophies as well as reagents for the Laughing Skull. Not long ago, this giant plant monster charged in from the overgrowth and was killed by several of the giant rock monsters. Since it died, smaller plant beasts have sprung up and made a mess of the place. They've also cut me off from my best source of reagents. Kill them! I'll attempt to reach my den and salvage what I can.
Everybody pulls their weight.
Yeah, it kind of does, Permeus, doesn't it? I have seen a tough-looking tree in that growth. It cries and moans, but it doesn't act hostile. It may know how to get rid of these plants. Go see if it does! This is another of the head takers, by the way. I don't know, Zoan. You're going to have to ask someone else on that one, because I got nothing. Yeah, StarCraft Ghost. I know a lot of people were speaking negatively about it, but it sounded kind of awesome to me. That's kind of what I was going to say, Formosan. It seems pretty clear now that Warcraft's overall story is actually building up towards an eventual war against the Void, not the demons. And so, while the demons are certainly the focus right now, and have been for basically all of Warcraft, what they're doing is effectively ending the first overall, if you will, act of Warcraft. I feel like we're going to be pushing hard against the demons in the next several WoW expansions, and then Warcraft 4 could then shift over into the Void. It's actually not a bad idea, really, because it keeps the whole segregation between WoW and Warcraft, proper, by basically having them go after entirely different things. And it enables them to do the Void properly, because the Void would be a fairly major enemy, which would be difficult to really properly emulate in an MMO format. Hello, Necroblow. What's up? Now, it's funny you say that, because I was going to mention the same thing. That does sound a lot like how the finale of Legacy ended up going. But unlike, the rest of the universe, I actually really liked the finale of Legacy, so I'm okay with that. Nevertheless, it's one of those weird things where it's a reason the term net positive exists, I do still consider Blizzard titles a net positive, even though they rehash ideas a lot. Also, this is just an interesting thing. So that was a Genosaur there who died. As you can see, its death caused this to happen. I'm going to have to go to the air to really show this off. All of that sprung up just from its corpse. That's the overgrowth. But it's okay, because unlike the Zangar, it didn't grow up naturally. These guys have been encouraging it, the Seed Priests, the Botani. Well, here's hoping the whole Legion New Blood thing will actually work out then, Zoan. That, I guess you weren't there for that discussion, were you? No, well. I should crush you. That will be the point. I have failed in my duties. Can only wait until I am crushed to dust. Thank you for not killing me. Dianor was a powerful and bold champion of our kind. He sought to break the ancient lines of battle, take the fight to the enemy. It ended with his defeat at the hands of several Magnaron. Here he fell, some of his energy creating a small sanctuary for those of us who remained, until I could fulfill my duty. But I cannot. But what were you supposed to do? When a champion like Dianor falls, a death bloom will grow from his husk. I was to collect this bloom and perform a sacred rite to release his life force back to the overgrowth. As I was about to do this, I was set upon by fur-covered two legs, and they took the bloom first. We tried to follow. They raised barriers and used fire to drive us back. So now I stand vigil over my failure until we are all ground into the tortured soil by our great enemy. I agree, Necroblow. In fact, that was probably my one and only complaint, and I mentioned it while we were going through Legacy. It's like, this feels a lot like a Warcraft thing all of a sudden. Or a Diablo. That's okay, we don't have leather on our legs, our cloth. We have plate. Our bond is iron, our will unbreakable.
And that's good to hear from us. I mean, I hate to say that, but it's nice to hear positivity every now and again. It's funny, by the way, because some people... Oh, gotcha, Rory. Some people... He does! Are like, oh, you know, clearly the overgrowth is better because, you know, lush foliage, and, oh, the breakers are better because, well, the overgrowth are really, really horrible. I do plan to show off the overgrowth 5-man, yes. Thank you, Takoida. Appreciate it.
I am here.
It's good nobody touched my work here. I chose this place to avoid those who would intrude on my collection. They just keep coming back! I would hate to lose this hunting ground. We shall find a way to clear the growth, I swear it.
Everybody pulls their weight.
So that's why this saber on here has been barricading themselves. They want their good hunting, and I want to get in there. I have an idea about that.
It is a good day to fight.
After the Saberon stole from these plants, they were forced further up the steam scar rise and barricaded themselves in. I could not find a way in, but you have a solution. One path is blocked by a boulder, but it looks weak. A strong warrior, like an ogre that you got on your side earlier, could break it. So yeah, her work in reclaiming reagents. Ahem. So there's some Blackrock orcs and some blood. And honestly, I don't really think I need to say anything else. She needs them reagents. It's okay, we're the good guys. You know the funny part, Permeus? I'm gonna laugh if it actually is doomed. Whoops, wrong area, wrong area. I mean, it should be doomed. To be blunt. Hey, Beatface. Got this, Valvaxus. Yeah!
Everybody pulls their weight.
Good work. But we need to move quickly before the plants realize the way is open.
I am here.
Now we get to the heart of the matter. Saberon have strong hearts. Our shamans find many uses for them. I'll search for the ancient's magic if you give me those hearts. Do you have a deal? So, now we're not just gathering skulls, we're gathering hearts. The stash contains mostly bits of old animal parts and other junk, but upon closer inspection there are remains of a bundle of herbs and plants. Rachnoth might be more willing to help if some of these herb bundles were found and gathered for her. By the way, I have a weird feeling that that whole Stormwind is fine thing also is part of the byproduct of the Draenor bubble mentality. I've said it before and I've said it again. We should lose in Legion. We won't. And as several of my viewers have counter-argued, a Pyrrhic victory, which in my mind is still effectively a loss, would also work very, very well. You know, we beat back the Legion, but it cost us so badly that we're screwed. You know, that kind of a thing. And then Unzoth invades. Or something, I don't know. We've been winning too much lately. Warlords, I liked that we won in both Warlords and Pandaria. I mean that seriously. Both of them had to do... both of those victories were story relevant. They kind of helped to emphasize the character path our characters and the Horde Alliance as a whole have been on for a long time. But, yeah. Yeah, I'll save that discussion for later. I'll talk about it when we do the Overgrowth dungeon. I don't remember the name of that dungeon. Irritating Dungeon of Irritating. I shouldn't say that. As I've said before, the gameplay aspect of the various dungeons is actually fairly well, competently done. I really like the first boss of the Overgrowth dungeon, for example, and the last boss, very appropriately chaotic. Everbloom, thank you. And yes, I'll talk about when we get there. I agree with you, Necro. They will not be doing that because Cataclysm and how badly Cataclysm was received, but I do agree with you. It would also be kind of infeasible. They're already taking forever to push out Legion. Madly, rampantly testing and pushing out new content daily right now. I should explain that a little bit better. The beta isn't getting updated daily, but they're updating their server builds on their end of testing literally daily right now. They are shoving content through left and right. How would that be for incredibly ironic? We successfully managed to defeat the Legion, but we lose Azeroth in the process. And we have to actually evacuate to Outland. The new Outland, the one that's been reclaimed by the Cenarian Expedition. Wouldn't that be cool? Again, it'll never happen.
It is a good day to fight.
I'll need those hearts, Paladin. These are good, strong hearts. You've done well, Paladin. I'll hold up my end of the bargain.
I am here.
I need more reagents. Oh, they started storing herbs in personal stash instead of storage dens. Good to know. You've helped me a great deal.
It is a good day to fight.
You've helped me now, and I will help you. The bloom you seek is within the nearby cave, being pawed over by their new leader of these Saberon. Kill him! Take the bloom back to those ancients below. Hope this will clear out those plants and I can get back to my hunting.
Yeah, I'll talk about that too when we get to the Everbloom. In fact, I actually kind of already talked about that in Throne of Thunder. It's the same concept, but I'll talk about it again. That's because Vargoth is an idiot. Seriously. That's the answer to that statement. You need like to do a link, okay? Because I can just permit you now. We have a system set up for that now. Yeah, Everbloom. We'll talk about it. I have decided after some thought I am going to show off the dungeons. My sister helped to convince me to do it. I mean, I showed off the scenarios, so I might as well show off dungeons. It's just more of a pain to show off the dungeons. I'm going to do it, though. I'm just going to pre-record all of them, and I haven't had time to do so yet. You have something for me? You have brought me the bloom. At last my purpose can be fulfilled. You've given me a tremendous gift with this bloom. I can finally send Dianor back to the Overgrowth for good and end this nightmare. All that remains is the ritual. Stay and behold something you will never again see in your lifetime. Rest, Dianor. I'm sorry it took so long. This is another aspect of them, the whole intelligent design thing. They like to reclaim the energy of their own to be able to maintain the continued growth of the overgrowth. You even got him to smile, Kay. Nice touch. Nightbot doesn't actually have a permit command. I'm not even sure why Nightbot's responding to the permit command. At last it is done. Dianor has left, and his spawn shall follow him in due time. I grow weary of this conflict, and the desire to return to the Overgrowth has left me. Perhaps I will travel beyond these lands, and join you as a follower! Seriously, he's going to end up in our garrison. He's not actually a follower, though. He just ends up in our garrison. Okay, given the time, I'm kind of... Yeah, I love the voice acting, if you could call it that, of the Ancients. It's really, really nice. Given the time, I want to show off 2 more things, and then we're going to kind of chop it off for the night. Oh, Imperium Bot would win. Imperium Bot would crush Nightbot like a bug. Really, Kay? That's actually really funny. In a good way or a bad way is the one? Because I've heard Star Trek Online story compared to a fanfic, but it's very much a positive comment. I can explain what I mean by that, for those of you who haven't heard me give that discussion before. Ooh. This way. Let me explain the good thing a fanfic can do. A fanfic can bypass reality to tie in multiple plot threads in a way that the actual shows and whatnot basically can't accomplish. Again, I use Star Trek Online as the best example of that. Because in Star Trek Online, they tie in Voyager, Enterprise, DS9, you know, they pull them all together into one cohesive story. They even tie up plot holes from the actual Star Trek. It's great. And they can only do that because they bypass all the real-life problems that exist. For example, some of those actors are too old, or refuse to play the part, or can't be procured to play the part, or want too much money. And if you try to reuse a character in a show, there's rules about that. The whole reason we got Tom Paris in Voyager is because they didn't want to pay the royalties to the gentleman who wrote, I forget his name, back in The First Duty, over in TNG. Because that's how that works. If you want to reuse a character, there's rights issues, there's money issues, there's conflicts of the Writers Guild. All that stuff gets in the way of writing the damn story. So a fanfic, like Star Trek Online, can bypass all that and just have, you know, this person come in and this person come in and this person come in, and they will go ahead and be able to progress through whatever storyline they choose to. Locarno, thank you, Lurker. Obviously, a bad fanfic is, you know, I don't even need to give an example, do I? There's thousands and thousands of those. I often like to consider fanfics the same as indie games. Although, funnily enough, indie games usually have a positive connotation, whereas fanfics have a negative, even though they're in the exact same boat. In other words, they both have tons and tons and tons and tons and tons of garbage, and then the occasional really, really good thing, you know? So, anywho, moving on. Let's go talk to Tormok.
I outlive you, beasts. Come face Tormok if you dare.
This is High Centurion Tormok, the Gorian expedition leader. Oh, Locarno, excuse me. There should be a second wave. Maybe. Well, anywho, if you'll notice, there's several dead Gorian troops here, and lots of the botany and infested orcs who have been attacking him here. Seriously, where's that second wave? I agree, Zawon. I guess I'm just a victim of pendulum theory yet again, because I always hear the term fanfic used as an insult. My own writing has been compared to fanfics and used as an insult. And I just get tired of that automatic negative connotation. And again, the point I just made is valid. If we're going to be doing that, if you're going to consider fanfics negative because of the majority, we have to consider many other things negative as well. Like indie games, for example. And yet, again, indie games have a positive connotation, despite being in the same boat, so... shrug. It's kind of like the term DLC, which is also used as a universal negative. Although, again, it's understandable why. It's just...
Hate this jungle. You there!
I would speak with you.
You're the first thing that has not immediately attacked me since my expedition arrived in this forsaken land. I shouldn't even be here!
No one should become fertilizer for these monsters. How did you come to be here?
Ever since Sorcerer King Marga came to power,
that's recent, by the way,
and found those artifacts, it's been Fellbreaker this, Firebreaker that. With his newfound power, he doesn't think he needs the Legion.
Not the Burning Legion.
I'll talk about that in a moment. The Empire was forged with iron strength and iron blades, and I told him as such. I doubt he took that well. He did not. He turned my words against me, ordered me and my loyal supporters to go on this cursed expedition to find the first ogre civilization, that original empire I mentioned, and find some stupid relics. I could not disobey, and now my troops are dead and I cannot return. This jungle will kill me, and I will not return to cower at the mercy of Margok. I am a veteran of several wars and campaigned across 2 continents. Yes, this is an ogre from the other continent. If you have a war worth joining, I will serve for a time. At least until I can kill the Sorcerer King. So we got a really interesting insight into ogre politics with that tiny little snippet there. We see that they have a very strong military force, and you notice how he was very well spoken and intelligent. That's not all that uncommon, especially amongst their officers, and this is a high centurion. And they have fairly well-crafted armor, too, at least in terms of design, not functionality. And that's more a thing of actually showing station. Their weapons are supposedly incredibly brutal. Again, one of those strength making a cut more than sharp making a cut. And yeah, this ogre is absolutely badass in lore and in gameplay. Any ogre we find that actually bothers to wield equipment tends to just wreck house. And we also get to see how... So it's mentioned how Margok is a recent person who has come to power. That's because the previous Imperator was actually killed by Grom when the Iron Horde sort of rose up. So that would have been several years ago. Margok has only recently proclaimed power, but he's a lot smarter and a lot more cunning than the previous Imperator. Excuse me. I'll talk a little bit more about that later, because it'll be more relevant later. I just kind of wanted to give you that highlight right now. Also, here's the Dark Iron base I mentioned earlier, and there's the cannon we used to kill the Genisar. And I will talk a little bit more about the Overgrowth, it looks like tomorrow. At the moment. Maybe, actually, you know what? Wow. Never mind. Yeah, I've done that quest myself. Oh, I know, Rory, seriously. Dead. Even the flat side would kill you. So in response to Jengi's... Oh, Permeus answered it, sorry. I wasn't ignoring you, I just hadn't gotten to it yet. And I hate to disagree with Zawan. I really do, because, you know... I always feel bad when I disagree with my viewers. But... I will say that I like the fact that we have been becoming more and more the central characters in WoW, because it just makes too much sense for me. I mean, if you have even a random mercenary guy, like we started off as, back in Vanilla, and they have survived over a decade in lore of extensive, severe threats and consequences and all the things we've gone through, they're not just going to be a mercenary anymore. I mean, that's how heroes are made, after all, in many cases. Zaid didn't start off as Zaid, to use an example. He wasn't Zaid until he went through the years and years and years of fighting and conflict and surviving it all that he did, you know? So I'm okay with us being the main characters in Legion. But I totally get that some people don't like that. It doesn't bother me personally. I just really, really hope that that Legion is a good fanfic rather than a bad fanfic. And again, we kind of discussed the differences between those earlier. I will say this, Legion is tying in a lot of plot threads across WoW, and I like that personally. You know I'm a huge fan of continuity in general. It makes me feel more invested in a setting. And I also I hate that so many stories in WoW have just been kind of left on the wayside and left to flounder. And I like that Legion is going to try and start pulling those back in and tying up threads, you know? And yeah, I like that too, Dakota. Hi, Salty. Everything I want to do now is going to take too long. And we're almost at the 3-hour mark anyway, so I guess we'll go ahead and cut it off here, and we'll finish off Gorgrond tomorrow. I'm sorry for the half day, guys. I will try to get some recording stuff on with the little bit of time I have left here. And, yeah. I guess I will be seeing you guys tomorrow. I don't think there's any way I'll be on later tonight. Even if I do actually have time after the event
to stream, I will probably use that time to record and get ready for tomorrow's stream instead. So I'll see you guys tomorrow, one way or the other.